Welcome to the end of day review for Thursday, the 14th of March 2024. Starting off with the economic calendar, there was a whole bunch of red folder news events for the USD. The news was actually quite mixed, and that didn't really support any narrative for trading, and thus we relied on a technical analysis to tell us which direction to trade in, on the basis that the technical analysis will support or will be supported by the fundamental analysis, as usually technical analysis is a few steps ahead of fundamental analysis. So having said that, moving on to the daily chart, we understand that there isn't any consecutive bearish or bullish candles to support an intended daily bias, and thus we move on to the 4H, where we can see that from a recent perspective we've actually body broke the 4H swing high. If you recall, originally we had a bearish market trend that I've been hounding about for the last couple of weeks, and that has been broken, and now we're in an uncertain scenario where we don't know if this break is just a liquidity grab of all of this to then continue the underlying bearish move, or is it actually to build a new bullish trend. That remains to be seen, dependent on whether we body break this for each swing structure right here. For the time being, coming into this morning, we had reasons to trade both directions, having reacted to two 4H OBs, being the protein unconfirmed OB. And the reason why it's called protein unconfirmed is because the protein has not yet had a second break of structure to validate that it is in control, and thus it is unconfirmed. Then we have a protein previously confirmed, and that's simply based on the assumption that if the bulls or the long move is not in control, then the short move is likely in control, and this is the validation of that leg that we're seeing right here. That is, as a result, we've created a 4H protein previously confirmed primary OB from which we can base our ideas from. So coming into this morning, we had reasons to trade both long and short. From a long perspective, the target would be up here, and from a short perspective, it would be the substructure target right here. As I have mentioned a couple of times, we are in an uncertain scenario and thus require three elements to be available in order to support any trade idea. Thus, to support a short idea, we need the 4H OB, which we do have. We have a validated 4H substructure, and by validated, I mean that from the creation of the substructure level, there has been a pullback to evidence that it is a real substructure level, and that is the case right here. And then lastly, we need internal range liquidity on the time frame that we are trading, and that would be on the 5-minute, which is clearly evident. From a long perspective, I did mention that we have a barrier to overcome because every time we push deeper into this primary OB, we need to build new IRL. While not impossible for today, it was possible. It was less probable than the move of shorting, as indicated in my New York outlook. Then, if we move to the 5-minute, what we can see is that from a Frankfurt session, we actually took out the Asia high. And at that point, we were waiting for London to validate the Frankfurt high. However, what then happened is London put in the high of the day. And at this point, we knew that we were unable to validate the London. Well, we were unable to validate the London high of the day until the New York session. And there were two options to validating the London high of the day. Option one was New York news is all positive, supporting shorts, and thus we could trade short. Or option two was New York news was mixed, and the New York section actually broke the London range, which was something like this, to be accurate. And then you can see the London range was validated by New York right here. We then had mixed news. Right around here, which is all of this news release, which isn't really conclusive on any transaction, and thus we relied on the fact that the New York session validated the London high. We then set our entry such that we could achieve at least a 1 to 3 by this level, and the ultimate target being the full ADR being 68 pips. Well, by ADR I mean the full daily range, and that was 68 pips, and as you can see, that was clearly achieved. And beyond that, we actually reached a 1 to 6.8. So for prudency's sake and for the sake of targeting daily range, and for the fact that we're in an uncertain scenario, my trade plan requires that we full GP either at a 1 to 3 or 1 to 5, depending on what's possible in consideration with the substructure target and the internal range liquidity. And on that basis, we can see that a 1 to 5 was certainly possible. And that's precisely what was taken for the day from the market. Obviously, I partialed at 1 to 3 and then I full TP'd at 1 to 5. So the average, or the net average rather, is a 1 to 5, a 1 to 4 trade. But all in all, 1 to 5 was possible and beyond. So that was pretty much the end of day review for today. I did mention that longs were possible, and what that did mean was the idea was that this would be the internal range liquidity, and provided that the New York news was conclusively negative, supporting longs, there was a possibility that we could validate this New York low while still keeping some internal range liquidity. Although, like I said, it was less probable, and my focus was on shorting um, at this stage. So that played out quite nicely, quite a nice day. However, remember, do not let your emotions elate you. This is simply as a result of performing and executing on my process and my defined edge, irrespective of my losses. If you recall, not too long ago, I think it was last week, Friday or Thursday, I took two consecutive losses. And as you can see, those losses were clearly or were easily overtaken. So it's just about executing your edge consistently over and over and sticking to that, irrespective of how you feel emotionally. Other than that, that's pretty much the end of day review. I hope you had a good trading day, and we'll chat again tomorrow for the London outlook.